Welcome to the Lost Tracks podcast. I'm Jesse Bass, your host. The Lost Tracks is an archaeological journey through the world of lost and undiscovered music. In this show, we will travel together to the farthest corners of the United States and beyond to showcase obscure records, tapes, and the artists who made them. A little about me. I'm the owner and operator of Skull Valley Records, an independent record label with the goal of preserving forgotten music, generally recorded without any outside production other than that of the band or artist. This is considered real people music, released in small amounts, dependent on what the band could budget. Music that exists only in a physical form, records, tapes, 8-tracks. For some of these artists, releasing their music meant the difference between recording and eating. My fascination with unknown music started at a garage sale when I was around 19. I found a box of records labeled simply Arizona. In the box, I found music with a sense of place, a sound unique to the four corner states that can't be replicated outside of the American Southwest. Since then, my collection has grown and includes thousands of unknown and lost recordings. I first discovered Lloyd in a dusty bookstore called, get this, Books. A little storefront tucked into a residential neighborhood deep in the heart of Old Phoenix. I drove right by it, but my intuition was telling me to stop and go inside. I pulled up a review of the place, which mentioned that it had more records than a record store. I was sold, and went back the next day. The first thing that stood out to me was the smell. It smelled forgotten, untouched, like you needed a pickaxe to dig through the mountains of material, most of which were books. Like literal walls of books. The place might not have even had a foundation, but was thrown together by an entire library's worth of text and book binding. In the end, I left with 10 records, one of which being Lloyd's LP, In Dreams, which was tucked in the back corner past the two old ladies and the three alley cats that wandered the aisles looking for mice. I took the record home that day and was blown away. Here's the title track, In Dreams. It's rare to find lost records with the craftsmanship and dedication that Lloyd put into In Dreams. A lot of unknown records remain that way for a reason, but Lloyd was different. Thus began the magnetism to Lloyd Rowland, which led to this podcast. I travel frequently in search of unknown music, and after finding Lloyd's LP, his recordings were popping up everywhere I went. From Prescott to Flagstaff and Phoenix, I now have 4 pressings in total, 2 45s and 2 LPs. Every recording leading to a deeper appreciation of his music. Beyond that, a profound curiosity was growing. Who was Lloyd? Where did he perform? Why were his records appearing so frequently in my searches? How could a man with no footprint weigh so much on my mind? Moments and questions like these are where this project came from. They're also the driving force behind my work as a record label founder. And these recordings are a deep history yet to be explored. An anthology of songs, places, and real people who created music, not for fame or fortune, but out of humanity's intrinsic nature of self-expression. I was drawn to Lloyd's records because they were unknown, but that doesn't mean they should stay that way. I wanted the world to hear what I hear in his music, an outlaw with a heart of gold. Lloyd was unlike his contemporaries. You can even see it on his album artwork. A photo of Lloyd staring into the desert, seated in front of a barbed wire fence, stoic expression, a feathered straw hat, tattoos, and a 12-string guitar. He looked more like a character than he did a real person. But the back of the sleeve put his humanity on full display. To quote it directly, "In Dreams is about a loser who has plans of being a winner. It's about a man who started his dreams on a lonely country road in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and his dream followed him to the cotton fields in Glendale, Arizona. Even in his delinquent years of juvenile houses and reform schools, he didn't lose faith in himself. When he married at 18 years of age and had a child at 19, he thought he was on the road to self-fulfillment. But something inside the dreamer was missing, so he became the running man, in search of his destiny. After many years of being somewhere in between, he had to make a decision and a choice. He gave up part of his life and left it behind him. I'm not sorry for my past because I don't live there anymore. My home is on stage and my heart is in every song I sing."
These are the hands of now that plowed the fields of hunger. These are the hands that held your love when our lives were so much younger. These are the eyes that have seen you shed so many lonely tears. These are the eyes that watch you break her heart throughout those lonely years. I thought that I had left it all behind, but memories stayed in my mind. And the wind that whispers to the trees awakens all my memories. And I dream the dreams I've had for many years, all my hopes and all my fears. So I'm running as fast as I can. Yes, I'm running as fast as I can. But time will catch the running man. Yes, time will catch the running man.
This track's called The Running Man, and after hearing it, I knew Lloyd was right for my label. His spirit and authenticity echoed the same beliefs Skull Valley Records was founded on. But here came the real challenge. How do you catch the running man? Starting this leg of the journey is always a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Dealing with old IP, there's never a guarantee you'll be able to find the artist, or that they're even still alive. As I mentioned earlier, there was no information on Lloyd or his music that was available anywhere. I searched through social media profiles, but didn't have much luck. I ended up pulling all my Arizona records and cross-referencing the credits to try and establish any links I might have missed. Still nothing. I ended up calling a friend for help, and not long after that, I was sent a link to a YouTube video. A man alone on a stage at a community theater. A sign in front of him that read, "The Lloyd Rowland Show." I found him. Lloyd and I exchanged emails until finally we settled on a date for an interview. My crew and I were invited to Lloyd's house on a rainy Saturday morning in Sun City, Arizona. We got there around 6 a.m. There was a fresh box of donuts and coffee waiting. He stacked a pile of notes and writings next to his microphone. It didn't take long for Lloyd to trust us. For the next 2 hours, I sat and listened as Lloyd spilled his soul. There was no way of predicting what he would say next. He lived a colorful life, and he was happy to share all of the details.
It all began on a dirt road in Hot Springs, Arkansas. When I was 10 years old, we used to live in Hot Springs, Arkansas, back and forth. We were dirt poor, and our neighbors and friends were black kids. We didn't know the difference, but in Hot Springs, Arkansas in the 50s, you better damn well know the difference. So they tried to take us away from my mama because we played with black kids. So in order for mama to keep the family together, she had to separate the family. Mama decided to send me and Pat to Phoenix. We didn't have a car, so Mama said, Cannon, you want to go to Arizona? I said, yeah, Mama. She said, you and Pat? I said, where are you guys going to be? Well, we'll be there later. How are we going to get there, Mama? We don't have a car. You and Pat are going to hitchhike. I was 10 years old. Pat was 14. So we get on the road. I kiss Mama goodbye. We'll be all right. But I know her tears now. First thing, truck driver picks us up. He takes us to Texarkana. He had a bunch of friends there in Texarkana. And so he says, you guys want to go there and get you some cold drinks to drink? So we go to this little bar. And I'm walking all around the damn bar and talking to the people. And this lady says, what do you do? What are you going to be? I said, I'm going to be a singer. A singer? You mean a singer? That's what I said, a singer. So she said, can you sing? Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to hear you. Okay, where at? I'm 10 years old. No fear whatsoever. I get up there and she turns the jukebox off and announces me, and I sing more and more, a cappella. From that second, that moment, I saw it. The vision. The announcers saying, and now, ladies and gentlemen, from Phoenix, Arizona, actually Glendale, Arizona, Lloyd Rowland.
I can't say that I was surprised to hear that his stories shared themes of love, rejection, resilience, and triumph. The same themes that would make up the foundation of his music. After Lloyd made it to Arizona, he worked in the cotton fields of Glendale to help keep his family afloat. A troublesome kid doing an honest man's labor. But after hearing how his dream started, I was curious to hear how that vision became his focus. In typical outlaw country fashion, it began with a car chase.
Some guys were shooting at us over on 27th Avenue crossing Van Buren, and I was a passenger, and the driver had a 1967 Super Sport, and he crossed Van Buren and went to the next block and went in this alley and banged my head and my arm, telephone pole. Didn't stop the motor, the car from running, so he drove about 2 miles and parked it next to a junkyard and left me there to die. And I don't know how I came to. I thought I heard a dog barking. Crawled to this cafe and called an ambulance, and it laid me in for about 6 months. And I had no job, no music, nothing. And finally, my wife said, Lloyd, you want to play music? Go play. So I got a band together. We auditioned over in South Phoenix on Buckeye Road. And, it was a nasty place. And we didn't even pass the audition.
Like all good artists, Lloyd's music came from a place of authenticity. Here was a man living from moment to moment and sharing a piece of himself with whomever his songs would draw in. Lloyd recorded the first songs off his LP in his buddy's garage. He would eventually travel to Hollywood in 1969 to record the remainder of the album. It included 10 tracks, one of them being The Running Man, which we heard earlier. He toured with this album across the US and Canada, and even played shows in Hawaii. I was surprised to hear the amount of time he spent on the road and the number of people he played for. I had always assumed these songs didn't make it out of Arizona. I'll take that as a lesson for myself not to jump to conclusions. At this point, I was more invested in Lloyd than I'd ever been. I asked to hear stories from the road, and he didn't disappoint.
I always had a naked chicken, featherless chicken, and a blank pistol in my glove box. I sometimes use it as part of the show. We were playing in Des Moines, Iowa. That was the dullest people in the world at the time. Businessmen. Just yak, 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 yak. Calvin and I are up on the stage. Opening night. Nothing. Doesn't even know we're alive. Put our hottest numbers. Nothing. I took this damn naked chicken. Break time, I told the bartender, I'm going to throw a chicken in the air, I'm going to shoot it with a blank pistol, and I'm going to get their attention, I bet you. 2 songs. Powerful songs. You can't believe these assholes. They were ducking, falling. I mean, they were shitting in their pants.
It's rock and roll,
I said,
right?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lloyd Rowland Show.
Hell yeah. Lloyd had lots of stories like this one. He was an empath who fed off the crowd's energy. When the tone of the room wasn't right, he would take control of it in the best way he knew how. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility for him to drop his pants and fart the loudest Arkansas fart you've ever heard directly into the microphone. Surprisingly, this will more often than not result in a standing ovation. Lloyd's Kingdom was on stage. It was the only place outside of a penitentiary where society would tolerate a man like himself. The next song we're going to play for you is one of my personal favorites. It's a song about having everything and having nothing. About longing for life's simplest pleasures and watching them come easily for everyone else. An introspective look into the heart of an outlaw and a vivid self-portrait of Lloyd himself. It's called Somewhere in Between.
Dedicate this song. Are you ready for that?
No, I'd like to dedicate this song. I'd like to dedicate this song to someone very special to me. Me. Just a child set adrift on the ocean. I'm a man who can dream on his own. I was raised on the near side of someone growing fat. I do believe I've had enough of that. Would you ramble with me down through the ages? Would you see all the things I have been? I'm a rich man, I'm a poor man. First I'm here, then I'm there. Most of all, I'm somewhere in between.
According to Lloyd, this song was inspired by a story he would tell to his bandmates. A rich man and a poor man stood before God and were asked how they spent their lives. The rich man amassed a fortune and served himself, while the poor man lived modestly and served those around him. When God estimated their wealth, the poor man was deemed to have lived a richer life.
I can remember when I was so young, and it honestly just seemed like a dream, and it's gone. And all that we have is what hopefully we've left behind. That's all we've got. It's not looking back on the past. It's not looking and living in the past. But when you get to a certain age in life, there's not much more forward to look to. So you do a lot of reflections, but I don't like to think it's called living in the past. I like to think it's measuring up to what you had to offer and give God in return for what He gave you. Did you give anything back? You know, I took for many years of my life the talent God gave me. I took and took and took until I lost everything. Everything. And then I realized I didn't have nothing because I didn't appreciate it. And I gave nothing back. And until you start giving back, can you really appreciate what you got? That's the only time that you can really appreciate that, in my opinion. Okay, kids, now tomorrow we're going to have a test on social studies. Bring your pencils and papers, we're having a test.
Lloyd's music never made him a lot of money. He was never comfortable with promoting himself and refused to sacrifice his creativity for anyone, even if that meant passing on an opportunity to work with established producers in Nashville. He spent his life spreading positivity and performing to audiences on his own terms. He was on a path of self-discovery and quite literally found himself somewhere in between for the majority of it. Whether this meant his marriages, shows, or jail time, Lloyd was back and forth between all of them. He was an outlaw, a loner with a knack of getting caught up with the feds. While never violent, rebellion was a common thread in the stories he told. His acts of disobedience weren't random. They were his best tool in garnering relationships, whether on or off the stage. During our conversation, he recounted one of his arrests. Alone in a car, he led the police on a high-speed chase. By the time they got him in cuffs, dozens of officers were in pursuit. In a moment where many might feel shame or embarrassment, Lloyd felt gratitude. For the first time in years, he felt wanted, enough for the full police force to come looking for him. Those times are behind him now, and at his core, Lloyd is a gentle soul who values companionship over anything else. At the time of this interview, Lloyd lived at home with his fifth wife, Barbara, who was sleeping in the back of the house. Recovering from a stroke and living with dementia, Barbara relied on Lloyd as her sole caretaker. The way he spoke of her made it clear. He loves her more than anything.
Barbara is the only person that I ever knew that played my songs 24/7 in the car. The CDs, every time we get in the car, a CD. She loved my music. She didn't tell me that, but she loved it. She'd sit there and sing with it. And I said, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear talk radio, you know. But I don't know. When Barbara came into my life, everything changed. She didn't say, oh, you're great. You're going to go places. She didn't blow smoke up my ass. She let me be me, though. She didn't try to change me. She didn't try to shape me or mold me. She said, you're going to do what you're going to do. What can I say? I'm not going to change you. I don't want to change you. If I don't like what you say, and then you don't like what you say, then you change it. I'm not going to change. I'm going to continue to change. And from that mentality, I began to learn about myself that you never change for anybody. It's impossible. You can do it temporarily, but it ain't going to last.
2 months after our interview with Lloyd, Barbara passed away. Distraught, he called to share the news with me. I held the phone tight to my ear and offered my condolences. He told me stories of the two of them and shared a song of his I'd yet to hear. A song he couldn't get out of his head that was more relevant now than ever. Although it was recorded long before they met, it is my belief that Lloyd wrote this song for her. Another instance of Lloyd's heart guiding his way. Rest in peace, Barbara. Lloyd's music is pulled directly from his own experience, each lyric reflective of the highs, lows, and in-betweens of his own life. Lloyd would characterize his songs as pop country, but I've always had a difficult time placing a genre on his craft. I usually opt for calling it Outlaw Soul because it has the grit of Waylon Jennings and the shine of Dolly Parton. Whatever you want to call it, it's simply good music. After countless hours of playing his records at my home and our long-anticipated interview with him, I had to know if it was possible to hear him perform. This is what he had to say.
No. I wish I could, but I would only cry. Because when I get close to that what I love, it makes me cry. And I couldn't do it justice. I really wish I could. I wish I had the strength. When I was in the recording studios, I'd have to cry for half an hour into the studio engineer come and say, look, Rowland, cry all the way to the bank. This is a good song. Go ahead and get it out. You know, you lived it, you wrote about it, but cry all the way to the bank. Show these assholes what you got.
Even though we weren't able to hear him perform, he offered to read one of the sonnets he's written over the last few decades. Lloyd shuffled around the papers next to his microphone and carefully chose the one he wanted to read.
Oh, here's a little sonnet I wrote, and everybody thought it was like a farewell note, a letter, you know. And I don't know why, but as I begin to lay my guitar down and my eyes try to hold back the tears, I feel such emptiness inside of me. The time has come to face my fears. Forever I thought it would last, wine and song from yesterday, never thinking that the time would come for that dream I would have to pay. I always believed I was special and that God would see it through. So I sang my songs about the running man, chasing the dream that I wanted to do. But as the years ran swiftly past me and the dreams became harder to see, I ran past the loves of my life and forgot what I wanted to be. But God has a way of reminding us that all things come to an end. And as we look back on what we've done in life, we have to account for all that we've been. So as I walk off the stage of life and my time has come at hand, I'm sorry for the years I've wasted, and I'm sorry for the running man.
Lloyd is one of the first 3 artists signed to my label. For the future of his music, Lloyd wants to expand his audience and share his story with anyone who will give it a listen. Currently, Lloyd's music exists only on vinyl and CD. As of the release of this podcast, Skull Valley Records is in the process of a reissue of Lloyd's catalog, so don't worry. In not too long, you'll be able to listen to it anywhere. Before we left his home, he showed us a few of his tattoos, the first of which he gave himself in 1956 at the age of 12. The one that caught our attention was the one on his left arm, an acronym, WEFTILY. Whoever finds this, I love you. Lloyd, we found you, and we love you too. We're going to end our program today with one of my personal favorites from Lloyd, a single from 1981 called Someday.
My love is forever. Although we're not together, and my love for you will grow. All of my love, only you can know. Time and time again, found myself alone while I was chasing all my dreams. I left you alone. But I know that you love me, and I know that you cared. I know you need me. Someday I'll be there. Someday I'll be there. When I think of paradise, my thoughts are of you. Our castles in the skies I made for you. And my dreams, please don't take them from me. I'll find a way, and together we'll be. When I think of paradise,
This podcast was created and produced by myself and Ryan Farrell. We would like to extend a big thank you to Colton Tursick and Hard Copy Media for their technical support through this process. Better preserved than forgotten.